Hello, welcome to another bedtime story. I understand that you have difficulty to sleep, is that right? No worries at all. Let me just light a candle, set up the mood for us, and we will start with the story right away. Our story will take us to places that don't exist, to things that start and end, but have no start and no ending. This is the story of Hecate. At the place where roads divide, where one path becomes many, where the world of the living softens in the world of the unseen. She waits, not in temples, not in palaces, not in the bright halls of gods, but in silence, in shadows, in thresholds. Her name is Hecate, torchbearer of the night, keeper of the keys, guardian of the veil. And if you hear her, it is because you were meant to. Pause. Breathe. You are safe here. The birth of the night goddess. Before Olympus rose, before Zeus ruled the sky, before humanity learned the names of the gods, Hecate already existed. Not as a legend, not as a symbol, but as a presence. Born of a Titans, child of Perses, god of destruction and consuming fire, and Asteria, goddess of falling stars, night prophecy and celestial mysteries. Her blood was not mortal, her essence was not earthy, and her being was not shaped by form. She was not forged from light, she was not shaped by order, and she was not born into harmony. She emerged from cosmic darkness, from the silence before sound, from the stillness before motion, from the void before creation learned how to breathe. She was ancient when the stars were young, old when time itself was still learning how to move through the universe. Even Zeus feared her, not with the fear of weakness, but with the fear reserved for forces that cannot be controlled, for power that cannot be commanded, for knowledge that cannot be erased, and for entities that do not obey hierarchy or rule. And so, unlike the other titans, she was not cast into the abyss, not chained, not buried, not erased from existence. Instead, Zeus honored her, feared her, and respected her, not as a ruler, but as an equal force, granting her dominion over earth, and over skies, and over the living, and over the dead, and over the unseen realms between the both. And yet, Hecate did not seek thrones, she did not seek worship, she did not seek temples of stone or gold, and she did not desire crowns, offerings, and kingdoms. She turned away from Olympus and chose the spaces in between, the places where worlds touch, where realities overlap, where the veil grows thin. She chose the thresholds, the crossroads, the doorways, and shadows and silences, the forgotten paths and abandoned roads, the unseen corners of existence, the places humans do not dare to look, the places humans fear, and the places humans ignore. And there, in the in-between, in the liminal spaces, in the quiet between breaths, Hecate made her realm not as a ruler, not as a tyrant, but as a guardian of transitions, a keeper of thresholds, and a guide between the worlds. Hecate does not rule kingdoms, nor does she command empires, for her power does not belong to places of permanence, but to moments of transition, to the fragile spaces where one reality dissolves and another begins to form. She is the goddess of thresholds, of doorways and endings, of beginnings and crossings, of liminal moments where identity shifts and the soul is reshaped. She governs the spaces between that was and what will be, the silent instant where choices is born and destiny is written, the delicate passage where an old life dies and a new self is born. Every farewell, every transformation, every shedding of identity, every rebirth of purpose, every crossing from one state of being into another falls within her dominion, because she is not the goddess of destruction and she is not the goddess of creation. She is the goddess of becoming, the internal force of change itself. They say she appears in three forms, not as separate beings and not as divided aspects, but as a single eternal consciousness expressing itself through multiple phases, a maiden, a mother, and a crow, past, present, and future, birth, life, and death. These are not stages, they are cycles, repeating endlessly, flowing into one another without beginning and without an end. When she stands at the crossroads, she faces every direction at once, seeing all paths, all possibilities, all endings, and all beginnings simultaneously, perceiving not only the roads that exist, but the roads that could exist, the lives that might have been lived, and the selves that may yet be born. Nothing escapes her sight, because nothing exists outside the flow of transition, and transition is her realm. Hecate carries torches, not as weapons, and not as tools of destruction, but as instruments of revelation and awakening. Her fire does not burn the world, it unveils it. Light does not destroy darkness, it exposes what the darkness hides. Her flame is not warmth but truth, illuminating fear, secrets, buried memories, forgotten pain, ancestral wounds, and hidden knowledge. Her light does not comfort those who stand before it, because comfort preserves illusions, and illusions cannot survive transformation. Instead, her light awakens, and awakening is not gentle, for it strips away false selves, breaks old patterns, and forces the soul to confront what it has avoided. When Persephone vanished into the underworld, taken beyond the veil of the living and dawn into the realm of shadows, it was not Olympus that heard her cries first, and it was not the gods of the sky who answered her voice. It was Hecate who heard her, through stone, through earth, through darkness, through death itself, through the deep layers of reality where sound no longer exists, but consciousness remains. With torches in her hands, she guided Demeter through the darkness, not as a servant, not as a subordinate, and not as a follower, but as a guide who knows the hidden roads between the worlds. From that moment, she became a guardian of Persephone, companion of the Queen of the Dead, walker between realms, and silent presence in the passage between life and death, standing forever at the boundary between the living and the dead, the unseen and the real world. Hecate walks with the spirits, with the restless, the forgotten, then buried and then named, with those whose stories were never told and whose names were never remembered. She guides lost souls, not to punish them, not to judge them, and not to condemn them, but to lead them through the darkness they do not understand. She stands at the gates of death, not as a jailer, not as a tyrant, not as a ruler, but as a guide who knows the paths through the shadows, who understands the language of fear, and who walks beside those who no longer know where they are going. She does not rule the dead. She accompanies them because her role is not domination, but passage. She carries keys, not to lock doors, but to open them. Keys to fear, to memory, to transformation, to awakening, to hidden selves, to buried truths, and to forgotten identities. These are not physical doors, but inner thresholds, spiritual gates, psychological veils, and liminal barriers within the soul. Some doors should never be opened, because behind them lies destruction without meaning, and some must be opened because behind them lies transformation without return. And Hecate alone knows the difference, because she sees not only what waits behind the door, but what the soul becomes after it passes through. As goddess of witchcraft, she is not the witch of chaos, and she is not the witch of harm, but the witch of knowledge, the keeper of the ancient wisdom, the guardian of hidden arts, and the teacher of sacred transformation. Her magic is not a spectacle, not domination, and not control. It is ancient and quiet, woven through herbal lore, spirit work, dream walking, protection, divination, and inner alchemy. Her power is not dominion over others, but mastery of the self, not control of the world, but understanding of the unseen, not command over fate, but awakeness of choice. And when one stands at the crossroads, when the old life no longer fits and the new one has not yet formed, when the familiar world begins to collapse and the unknown begins to call, Hecate is there. Not to command, not to judge, and not to decide, but to witness. She does not force the path, she illuminates it. She does not choose for you, she teaches you how to choose. She does not shape your destiny, she reveals your power to shape it yourself. She does not give comfort, she gives clarity. She does not remove fear, she teaches you how to walk through it. She does not promise safety, she teaches courage. She does not offer light, she teaches sight in the darkness. She does not protect you from change, she prepares you for the transformation. She does not shield you from endings. She guides you through them. And when the crossroads fade, when the veil softens, when the threshold closes, Hecate steps back into the shadow, not gone, not absent, not lost, but unseen, because she does not disappear. She waits, she watches, she remains. She exists in every ending, in every beginning, in every choice, and in every transformation, because Hecate does not live in myth. She lives in transition, and every life is a series of crossroads. So remember, you will meet her again, at every ending, at every beginning, at every choice you make, because Hecate does not live in myth. She lives in transition, and every life is a series of crossroads. Rest now, you are safe. The night watches over you. The goddess walks beside you. And I have a small gift from Hecate. Smell it. It's a very, very fragrant tea that Hecate herself prepared for you. Take this tea and brew it tonight. Drink it, and your night will be calm and safe. Remember, the goddess walks always